Islam, how was y'all travel? And also, how was Remembrance Day?
Islam was gonna show a little bit of the video that Brother Douglas L got during the demonstration. I mean, it was beautiful. We had a wonderful time. It was nothing but love. Philly is an amazing city. Moors came from all over the place, and it was great. I recommend we all do it every year if possible. Islam.
Islam.
I started posting pictures on a Columbus group. I created a photo album. So I'm gonna post the rest when I get some time, but the pictures didn't do no justice because the energy was there. It was beautiful despite, the corona situation. Because it's usually hundreds of Moors out there every year. And even with, the pandemic and all that, still a nice amount showed up, but nowhere near as much as shows up every year. I was just happy to experience it in a smaller group where it's more intimate and like it was wonderful. I mean, everybody you see on YouTube was there. Islam.
Islam. It really was great. What I loved too, on top of it all, was just seeing you and Brother Lloyd being recognized, even with your mask on. People like, whoa, there's more than America in the house. That was incredible to me.
Islam. We are more than America now, so Temple 30. It's not just me and him no more.
That's right.
Islam.
But yeah, people from all over the country were there, and Columbus was in the house. And, it was beautiful.
We had a great time. We need to do that more often. Well, like you said,
Yeah.
annually.
Definitely. And this afternoon, we were talking about um every city that we're in, if we can do a little bit of research and just find out a little more about the city, what it used to be, the names it used to have, and any connection that it has to our Moorish Empire, we can start doing um, ancient Moorish American tours in every city. I think that'll be pretty dope. Islam.
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 Is Islam, I definitely agree. And like down here in Dayton, we got something called the Five Rivers of Ohio, the five rivers. And then it's the five, the five, how they got the five tribes, the five civilized tribes, the five principles and stuff like that. And then there was two Native American tribes that the Thompson Counter Party found when they got here, Native American, but they don't say exactly what tribe. But when that Indian stuff, you Islam. But like, yeah,
Islam.
I feel you. We can start doing that.
Islam.
Make our own little, cause that's how I was trying to get everybody. Like, yo, it's the five flags, the principles. I just gotta read up on the Battle of Ohio. It's called the Battle of Little Turtle Two, and that's something that happens on. You saw looking into them old maps, and then the Delaware Indians on one map, the Delaware Moors. They had the southern, the southeast part of Ohio stretched over to about these parts too. Like, so it's just something we just gotta put together and come up with our own story because they sacredly can't tell the Moorish story the way we could tell it. You feel me? They could give the logical stuff, but through Drew Ali, he connected the electrical wires. You feel me? Back to the knowledge, back to the light. You feel me? Of who we are now. We could just define it, but we just gotta, like you said, find out the research and put our heads together and find like the wars. When you find out the wars, man, like Islam, no.
No, I mean you on point with that because we took while we were there, we took a tour, a city tour, outside um after Remembrance Day, the next day, and we took a, the city tour that they have set up, and I was like, Columbus don't really got nothing like that. And it's like, if we did it, you feel me? Like we could really get it popping because we're gonna tell real history. And
Islam.
right now, I mean, you see, they changed Columbus Day to um, Native American um, Recognition Day, or whatever they calling it now. But it's like times change. If
Islam.
they're gonna do that, that means people will really come on our tours, especially like Europeans, because they want to know what we know. A
Yeah,
lot of them, they know, they just don't know that we really know. So they want to know if we really know.
Islam
That's
facts. I was over.
finance.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut your wisdom. I was just over my European friend. I didn't know him for a while or whatever. I was at his house the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm a Mason or whatever." And I just started talking all over his head, and he was like, "Man, bro, like, and it's crazy, like everybody, like all the oldest, the old Moorish, the Moors that came in before us, they tell you, like, man, the people that hardest to convince is your own people, bro. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, they just be believing you."
yeah,
So yeah, I think just establishing friendships in the ad, just like the Quran says, is like be a benefit. What I forgot, I can't really freestyle it right now, but it's the just study, just keeping relationships open. You feel what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay, I ain't taking no oath. I'm Moorish. We don't take oaths. So, but like, yeah, you can help me out because, yeah, like, because it's all peace on earth and goodwill to men. He's like, oh, yeah, da, da. I was like, yeah. So it's just like, they gonna bow down, bro. It's not like you bowing down. It's like more of a, they low key bowing down. You just gotta know it, but be humbly a king. Like a king doesn't like forcefully, they gonna know what to do. Like, especially you just gotta be you, like come in correct. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, but it's just a working process, using them virtues and stuff like that. But yeah, we just gotta start, yeah, coming up like, yeah, I'm Moorish, I know all about that. Look, help us this way. And like, that's what that block vote and the way our power, we just gotta, I guess, get our not our numbers up, but like somehow like persuade our people like, man, in this Moorish thing, you could totally keep that kind of black identity, just not outside. Or this Moorish thing don't come out. You feel what I'm saying? Just look, we got these plans. We need to move like this, and you don't really lose that. You just want to move like, all right, cool. Now we about to go to these Masonic governors and stuff and be like, yo, listen, do this and that, and I'm gonna have these people do that and the third. We just gotta, you know, you just got collectively a little bit of prayer, a little bit of meditations and affirmations, and then a little bit of footwork. You feel what I'm saying? Again, and actually talking to these people and stuff. I don't know. I'm zealous right now. Islam.
Islam. No, that's the energy to put behind it. Like I said, I mean, when we have any extra time, everybody just do a little bit of research about your city, your area, and let's try to find out the ancient stuff. And then we'll bring it to the table on a Thursday, and then talk about what we found, and then we could each jump in on it, add to, try to dig deeper, and then we come up with some times and days, and we could put a tour together. I mean, it's not that hard, you know. It's not that hard to go around the city, and then like we'll do it on our own a couple of times, you know, and then once we get it real good, then we could package it up and then we could sell it, and that's another product, just doing city tours in Ohio. We have mounds, we have all kinds of stuff in Ohio, pyramids, the serpent mounds. We could do all that. And then this is our home, you know. We could do it every day if we want. We
Islam.
can
Islam.
Then,
make it be
then
real good.
Islam. Then we bring in like tourist attractions to Ohio, and we could present that as a business to the
Exactly.
government, to the governors within all
Yeah.
the county. Well, the governor, right, and then all the officials within because each county has a county seat. You feel me? Which
Yep.
like, yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like the city of Dayton is the county seat of Montgomery County, and Columbus probably the county seat of whatever county y'all is, and so forth and so on. You know what I
Yep,
mean?
yep,
So
yep.
like, yeah, so like we could present that, and then especially we just like, yeah, we know, yeah, listen, do this. Y'all supposed to help us. As soon as we get
Exactly.
our
Because
act
once
right,
we already got it and we got all the facts that cannot be disputable,
yeah.
and then we present it in an intelligent tone and let them know we're doing this already, and we want some assistance from the state, and it's gonna help the state, like you said. They're gonna want to help because this is the part of history that people are gonna be coming here to learn.
Hmm.
So yep, it's hand in hand right there. That was divine. That was divine right there. A divine idea.
Yeah, that was dope. Yeah, 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 that is. We just gotta come together and do, like you said, the history just between Dayton and Akron and Columbus and then Toledo. You feel me? Like we could put the spin. We just gotta find out the locations of all these things, and like you said, just like, yeah, they gonna give us the buses and everything. Just just don't tell them. Just don't tell them like, all right, nah, it's cool. We ain't gonna tell them that much. We gonna tell them, but we ain't gonna. Yeah, we got you. Just give us the finance so we could get our own stuff. You know what I mean? Islam.
Islam. Islam. All right. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly, according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. All rise and face the east for the Moorish American prayer. Allah,
Allah,
the Father of the universe,
Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
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 peace,
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 freedom,
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 and justice.
and
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 justice.
justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my
Allah,
Allah is my
protector,
my
protector,
guide,
my
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 guide,
God,
and my salvation
and my
my
and my
salvation,
by
salvation.
night and by day
by
my
night and by day,
Night and by day.
through his holy prophet,
through his
truth,
holy prophet,
Holy prophet,
through Ali.
through
through
our
Allah.
leader.
through Ali.
Amen.
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 Islam.
Islam.
Uh,
Islam one announced that the meeting is now open, but first and foremost, arise, give the highest praise to the Most High, our Father God Allah. Give honors to our divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, for bringing us our divine creed and nationality so that we may learn to love instead of hate. We give honors to the forerunner of the prophet, Brother Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Honors to all the ADF sheiks and all the faithful Moors that make up the grand body of the Moorish Divine and National Movement. We give honors to the first appointed Supreme Grand Sheikh by the Prophet, Brother Emily Ill. Honors to our Supreme Grand Sheikh Emeritus, Brother David Bailey Ill, and honors to the current Supreme Grand Sheikh, Brother K. Dandridge. Also honors to the Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and honors to all the faithful on this call. Islam, Islam, Islamism. All right, now, Brother Jackson Bay, would you please read the Divine Constitution and Bylaws?
Islam. Islam, I rise giving perfect praise to Allah and honors to the Prophet and honors to the Muslims. Salvation, Allah, unity, the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Divine Constitution and Bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheikh and Chairman of the Moorish Science Temple of America is empowered to make law and enforce law with the assistance of the Prophet and the Grand Body of the Moorish Science Temple of. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known before the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed properly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on the Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on the Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is the holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are part and partial of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed that they may know that they are part and partial of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become part and partial of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. No member must pay the, pardon me, Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father God Allah. Noble Drew Ali, founder. Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. The Moorish Science Temple of America, home office of Noble Drew Ali, home office, Chicago, Illinois, USA. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Holy Day, Moslem.
All right, Islamism. Thank you, brother. Okay, right. Let's go ahead and read the additional laws. Brother Jones Bay, do you have your Quran questionnaire, the 101s? If so, could you please read the
Big brother, I am out. I'm out and about. I'm
Okay.
driving.
So sorry.
So sorry.
All right, Islam. Okay, let's go to Sister Plater Bay. Can you read the additional laws, please?
Islam. Questionnaire and additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Act 1. Grand sheiks and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali before acting upon by any member. Let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the member to sacrifice, finance, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under heavy restriction, etc., by the Prophet of the Grand Sheik. Act 2. All members are to attend their ADUP meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3. It is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able to finance, to aid me in saving the nation, and if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Excuse me. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member or of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm itself to the questionnaire and let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school come the guiders of the nation. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, Black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God Allah. Islam. Happy Holy Day.
Islam, sister, thank you so much.
Islam.
Islam, Brother Kobe. Can you read the 3 words for us?
Islam.
Praise Allah. Thank you, brother.
No problem. Rise to give honors to great God Allah. Rise to give honors to our great prophet Noble Drew Ali. Rise and give honors to all Moors on the call and all over the world. To be proclaimed at every meeting. Islam. I am glad to know we have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There's a host of jealousy about me and the movement now by the same people of our side of the nation that claimed I was a joke and unreal. But now, since they found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all HAX must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens, they are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me so they may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that pay their divine respects to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I'm calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance, and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finances so badly as I do at present, so I may shove aside the discord that's facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works, which I have performed in the past few years. Prophet, Noble Drew Ali. To the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam. This is instructions from your prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Be faithful unto your forefather divine and national creed, that you will be blessed for your good deeds that you sow in the flesh. Allah is the one that judges the world, and his judgment is on now, but the weak can comprehend it not. The end of times are drawing near, so says Allah to his divine prophet, I, Noble Drew Ali, and that is why many hearts are turned to stone. Many have eyes to see, but cannot see, ears to hear, but cannot hear, lest they will be confounded of their sins. These are the trying hours now, dear Moors, and every evil spirit is moving, and they are trying every weak mind to overthrow and drag out the true foundation that has been laid, and to cause confusion in the minds of the ones that do believe. But if you have the true love of Allah and the spirit of your forefathers, you fear not what you hear or see, but will sacrifice the utmost of your very life to protect your movement and your prophet. Watch your enemies, dear Moors. Your enemies are the ones that speak against your prophet and ridicule him to the very lowest, and the ones that speak against your divine and national principles of your temples. Act accordingly, and Allah will bless you for your good work. Peace. Your divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Prophet warns all Muslims to be read in every meeting. I hereby inform all members they must end all radical speeches while at work, in their homes, and on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards to Europeans. It causes confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings towards the temple or the prophet or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement will receive their rewards from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card and button, cease wearing their turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet, Noble Drew Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans. They do their part in protecting the prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement found by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. Peace. Noble Drew Ali. Islam, Islam, Islamism. Happy Holy Day, Moors.
All right, Islamism. Thank you, Brother Cole Bay. Okay, we're going to be reading from chapter 29, Magistrate and Subject today. If I could please get a volunteer to read the chapter today, chapter 29.
Hello.
Islam. Islam.
Did somebody say they wanted to volunteer?
No, but let's see.
Islam. Oh, thou favorite of heaven,
Islam.
who the sons of men, the equals, have agreed to raise to sovereign power and set a ruler over themselves. Consider the ends and importance of their trust. Facts more than dignity and height and any station. Thou art clothed in purple, and thou art clothed in purple. Don't move it. Thou art clothed in purple and seated on the throne. The crown of the majesty investeth thy temples, thy scepter of power and placed in thy hand, but not for thyself. Were these incense given, not meant for thine own, but for God of thy kingdom. The glory of the king is the welfare of his people. His power and dominion rest in the hearts of the subjects. The mind of great prince is exalted and grandeur of his situation. He evolveth high things and sacreth the business worthy of his power. He calleth together the wise men of the kingdom. He consulteth among them freedom, heareth and opinions them all. He looketh amongst his people with discriminate and discovereth the abilities of men and employeth them according to their merits. His magistrates are just and his ministers are wise, and the favorite of his bosom deceiveth him not. He smileth on the arts and the flourish and science improve beneath the culture of his hand. Islam. of his hand. With the learned and ingenious and delighteth himself, he kindeth in their breasts, emoluments the glory of the king of exalted by their labors. The spirit of the merchant who extorteth and his comments, the skill of the farmer, who enricheth his land, and ingenuity of the artist, and improvements of the scholar. All these be honored with the favor, rewardeth with bounty. He planteth new colonies, he buildeth strong ships, he opens rivers for convenience, He formeth harbors for safe. His people are abound in riches, and the strength of his kingdom increaseth. He frameth the statutes and equity, wisdom. His subjects enjoy the fruits of their labor and security, and their happiness consists of observance of the law. He foundeth judgment on the principle of mercy, but in punishment of offenders. He is strict and impartial. His ears are open to the complaints of the subjects. He restraineth the hands of their oppressor, and delivereth them from their tyranny. His people therefore look upon him as Father, and reverence and love. They consider him as a guardian of their joy. Their affliction unto him begetteth in his breath a love of the public, scrutiny of their happiness, and object of their care. No murmurs against him arise in the hearts of the mechanics of his enemies, endanger not the state. His subjects are faithful and firm in cause. They stand in the defense as a wall of brass. An army of the tyrant flieth before them, as sheath before the wind. Security and peace bless the dwelling, and people and glory and strength encircle his throne forever. Islam.
Right, Islam. Thank you, brother. Okay, so with what this brother just read, which is pretty much just showing the proper way to rule and our proper relationship with those that we appoint to rule or to administer our society. I'm not even going to ask if that's how you feel about the government right now, right? Because it's almost like, you know, the people that are ruling with benevolence. They're actually public servants. They're doing things on behalf of the people. That's actually the station, of course, that the people, the representatives and the people that we put in office, mayors, even on up to the president, they're supposed to be public servants, right? And in verse 3, it says, the glory of a king is the welfare of his people. His power and dominion rest on the hearts of his subjects, right? So it's not in how much wealth he's able to hoard away, steal for himself, right? It's in how well his people are cared for. This, I don't know if this sounds controversial or not, but I don't care because it's the truth. Brother Muammar Gaddafi, who was the leader of Libya, which is in North Africa. All right, this is what reminds me of him. The glory of a king is the welfare of his people. His power and dominion rest on the hearts of his subjects. Muammar Gaddafi made sure healthcare was free across the board for his people. And not just like, it's because we lived in Brazil and the healthcare that was free, because they actually have free healthcare, which sounds crazy because we live in America and they so-called third world country and they have free healthcare. But the free healthcare, while it's good, it's better than nothing. It's not as good as what you could pay for, right? Right, private healthcare, but it was free for everyone. In Libya, healthcare top of the line, free for everybody. Education free, college free. Married, when the Libyans get married, their first house paid for by who? By the state. Everybody in Libya gets a check, not a welfare check. They get a check because, well, not anymore. Obama and them, well, excuse me, the administration ran through and they killed Gaddafi. But what he had done was he had nationalized their resources. So the oil that they produced was owned by the people. Remember, the prophet says in here in the literature that the gold and wealth of a nation belongs to the people, the citizens. So in Libya, everybody was getting a check. Because why? Because Libya has oil and they were able to trade and they owned their resources. And they might have been one of the only, may even have been the only African nation to actually own their resources and were able to enrich their people. Right? We see all types of people going into Nigeria and all these other countries Chinese people now coming in. It was all types of Europeans going in there, running through them, taking whatever resources they had, and the people were getting nothing. You have masses of people dirt poor, right? And so Gaddafi was doing this for his people, and he was painted as a, just all of a sudden out the blue, they said he was a tyrant, and they, I'm not gonna go into that, but just showing this because that was an example. The glory of the king was in the welfare of his people, how well he's taking care of the people, right? The people placed him in that position, right? Thou art clothed in purple and seated on the throne. The crown of majesty investeth thy temple. The scepter of power is placed in thy hand, but not for thyself were these ensigns given, not meant for thine own good, but the good of the kingdom. Okay, and so this is showing us how to rule, because in the end of the day, while we may be starting over, and I mean, come on, let's be real, they pushed the savage program on us, and we buying in. You know, right now, if you're a Negro, if you're a nigga, Negro, nigger, all mean the same thing. You're a savage. You have a savage mentality. There's no telling what we might do. And so at this point in time, you know, we're just starting all over, right? So we're not even in this position. But if we were just suddenly just given the power to rule ourselves, which some people want to act like we could do it. Some people want to say, oh, I'm sovereign. We, you know, your laws don't apply to me. So if we just suddenly, you know, just had all the power to rule ourselves right now, will we be doing a better job even than the Europeans that are in here right now? Because they're failing, right? They don't necessarily hold up to these standards, where the glory of those who are in power is in how well they're taking care of and looking out after their people. That's not what they take pride in. You know, how good their people are doing, right? The healthcare system, it needs some help, right? It's definitely not free, and just everybody gets access to great healthcare across the board. There's so many flaws in it. They even let greed come in there where it's been tainted, right? You have some good doctors and nurses, and I'm not trying to knock that, but that whole industry, the medical industry, been tainted because they're in bed with the pharmaceutical industry. So they're about treating diseases, treating them, and not actually going for the cause to help you. They'd rather you be taking pills and paying for medicine for the rest of your life than helping you to fix the real issue, so you don't need that. And so there's a lot of things that they're failing us at. And if we just suddenly were handed the keys in our current savage state, while we twerking and listen to all this mess and living this savage life, taking pride in it, right? We wouldn't be fit to rule. So we do need Islamism. We do need to study these lessons, but we don't need to talk about it. We have to actually do the work, which is probably the most difficult part, to actually put this to work in ourselves, changing our mind state, realizing that like we do act like beasts. You know, we do. I'm not saying we, like, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about all of us, like me, even some of us who think we're doing a good job, because we have to completely learn something new. We can't look at the Europeans, for example. We have to return to something that we may have never even seen before and carry ourselves in a way that is totally foreign to us. The glory of the king is in the welfare of his people, right? How well you are looking after others. So if you were in a position where you're the mayor of your own city, your city council, because even the city council people sitting up there acting like kings, and they're taking cut deals on the side. It's not for the benefit of the people in the city, and just all types of ways corruption seeps in, and it winds up hurting the people. One other example, there's no reason why our brothers and sisters in Flint, Michigan should still have these issues with, you know, brown water coming out of the faucet. And you know, water with lead and all these other chemicals and things in it. Why is that even allowed to happen? Because those who are in this position, so remember, magistrate is subject. Don't take that the wrong way. Can somebody pull up the definitions for that magistrate and then for subject in the 1828 dictionary? Specifically, somebody has that app on their phone. It's a free app, and we'll go back to that when somebody gets that definition up. Magistrate, and then we'll look up subject. So we're not talking about slaves, right? We're talking about people, and the kings or the magistrates, the people that we elect. Remember, we've talked about this before. When the European came to the Americas, did they encounter a bunch of savages who would just, you know, didn't know how to rule themselves, were uncivilized? No, they encountered Moors. Now they'll show us the people who were like nomads, just living in teepees and everything, but that's an element. Those are people who came over to Bering Strait, and that's not necessarily our story. We had buildings, we had pyramids, we had civilizations, and even in our downfall, we were still civilized. And so this United States of America is ours. It was based off of us. The Constitution, the laws, the system of governance. We may not have called the people, the chiefs and people that we had in places, may not have called them senators and congressmen and councilmen, but that's what they were. Islam. So these are positions then that are chosen by who? By the people, right? The people that we have, you know, city council and stuff like that. We picked that. All right. And so this is the same relationship. This is explaining, like, these are the people that we pick, we put in these positions, these exalted positions. But it's not exalted because they're supposed to be up here being corrupt, looking out for themselves, making themselves richer. No, it's exalted because there's a lot of pressure and stress that comes with looking after the people. And so they're supposed to be doing it right. They're supposed to be conducting themselves in a noble way. And they're not. And so this is training us for something completely new, which is kind of foreign to us. Islam. Did somebody have sounded like somebody had a comment? I yield the floor.
Yeah, you wanted the magistrate definition, 1828?
Islam.
Okay. All right. Noun Latin magistratus, from magister, master, magus, major, steer, Teutonic sterator, a director, steratoran, steeran, to steer. All right. The principal director, a public civil officer invested with the executive government of some branch of it. In this sense, a king is the highest or first magistrate, as is the president of the United States. But the word is more particularly applied to the subordinate officers, as governors, inter, inter, intendants, prefects, mayors, justices of the peace, and the like. The magistrate must have his reverence. The law is their authority. Islam. That's that.
All right, Islam. That's the definition we were looking for. That second
Did you
one.
want Islam? Did you want the subject one?
Islam, yeah.
Nah, I'm about to look. Okay, it's a bunch of them. We're going for the noun though, right? Because we're talking about a person, a place, a thing. One that owes allegiance to the sovereign and is governed by his laws. The natives of Great Britain are subjects of the British government. The natives of the United States are naturalized foreigners. Dang, that's crazy. I ain't that's exactly what it said. The natives of the United States are naturalized foreigners, are subjects of the federal government. Men in free governments are subject as well as citizens. As citizens, they enjoy rights and franchises. As subjects, they are bound to obey the law. The subject must obey his prince because God commanded and human law required it. That's crazy. Okay. The law that on which any mental operation is performed. Okay, that's okay. We're talking about that. I think you just wanted that one. Islam.
Islam. All right, so Islam, yeah. So the subjects pretty much these are the citizens, the people subject to the laws, and these are laws that we have a hand in making. Somebody shared earlier online a video from the brother from Dayton, Yellow Pain, who made the video where he's pretty much explaining civics and showing how to get involved and stay involved, be active in your government. And he's pretty much just showing the people there's nothing to complain about. We control it. You're either active and you have influence over the government, or you're passive and you're just reactionary. You know, Black Lives Matter after somebody then got killed, but you ain't do nothing about it though. You didn't do nothing about actually governing yourself. So we have the power, and this magistrate and subject chapter is I think this is the last one. Yeah, okay, so we have one more chapter, chapter 30, which is basically giving us the community foundation. So 25 through 30. 30 is holy instructions from the prophet, social duties. And then 25, let me go back to 25. 25 was our holy covenant, letting you know what that we're bound to each other, right? We're not to prefer a stranger over our own blood. These are things that are setting us up to be able to be successful. And then the ones coming after that, 26, 27, holy instructions of rich and poor, and all of these are telling us how to conduct ourselves and rule ourselves so that we can be successful, because you can't just copy what's going on right now, right? We can't go from this current status with the Europeans, that because they're failing us, they're failing the whole world, right? They're polluting the ocean, they're doing all of these things. We can't keep that going. That's not sustainable. And so we have to wash all of this stuff out of our minds and return to something that which is ancient and divine. And so we're given holy instructions on how to conduct ourselves. And I just wanted to share that because it's important. We can't overlook that. Well, chapter 29, this is pretty much just giving us the leadership roles that people may acquire throughout their lifetime, because you may serve one of these stations at one point in time. You may be on a city council earlier in life or later in life. You may not stay there for long, right? So it's not like this just the king who just rules over you forever and ever. No, you might serve in that station yourself and then leave or retire, and somebody else, you may only do it for 4 years or 8 years or something like that. Okay, so it's you may get in there and see it's not all that it's cracked up to be, because you might think that it's stressful being in that position. And so I'm sharing that also because pretty much these are the actions that, if we're doing properly, they benefit the society in a positive manner. And these are our civic and social duties. And it's not just on the people who are serving in those positions, it's on us all. Those who elect them, who put them in those positions, right? You may even have to form committees so that you can follow up on them to make sure that they're doing what you put them in there to do. Okay. And it's extremely important that we are proactive in this as well. Um, Going back into also to the first set of instructions, I guess you could say, on our nation, our foundation is the community foundation. That's the nation. That's the ummah. Ummah is the Arabic word for a community or nation. We're given the Holy Covenant, and that's the sacred oath that binds Moorish Americans into a brotherhood or a sisterhood. That binds us together as a community. We have to all agree on these things so that we can do business together, so that we know to look out for each other no matter what, because we've gotten away from all that. The community used to be where you could have your children out playing in the street and you could trust your neighbors to look over them, but you can't even really trust the neighbors like that anymore. The neighbor could be Asiatic, could look just like you, and they might not be able to be around children. You know, they do drugs. You might have to do a background check, you know, do one of those just look, there's these maps that they have that show you the sex offenders in your neighborhood. Watchdog, right? They can't live, they can't even be 100 feet or 100 yards or something by any like elementary schools, any schools. And these are our people. They're just as bad as the Europeans. So we have to get out of all of those ways. And so this is what is these instructions. This is what this is doing. This is getting us out of that. And that's why it's not good enough just to be an online more, or to just be by yourself just doing this. Obviously, you can't do it by yourself. You have to get with people in your area, because we're supposed to be a nation, and you can't be a nation by yourself. So we have to build, we have to help strengthen each other. That's why we have these bonds. If our brothers in adversity, assist them. I can't be up here acting like I'm perfect. I ain't never did nothing wrong, and I'm looking down on you or anybody else, right? We're supposed to be there to help each other and to strengthen each other. Now, I don't want to act like I'm better than you. I want you to be successful too. So we're here to strengthen each other, and prefer not a stranger before thine own blood. So this is to rearrange our whole entire way of thinking and to make it real for us. This is really important, because we can't take that Negro mindset into wherever we're going. We can't. We have to leave it behind. It's not cool. It's not cool to be savage. I know they told us it was. Look, we not all the same age, but like for me growing up, it was cool to be savage. It was cool to be ignorant. It was cool to be grimy. Okay? And untrustworthy and foul. And that's how I came up. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. And so this is important, because I see this. It's like it's even more hardcore being pushed on our people now. And so we have a lot of work to do. And it's best to start off small group for us to get this down. We're the foundation. Everybody that's here, that's being faithful, we're the foundation. So we have to take this and internalize it and make it real in our households. Teach this to our children. Make sure that we're treating each other with this love and acting like this, so that as we grow, you know, as we start to get property and start to actually build our community, we're building it off these principles. And then maybe when we incorporate a town or a city and we have our city council and things like this, we're not up there just like most Negroes that get in those positions. They find some way to get little cutbacks on the side and letting corporations come in and do this. And maybe that's what happened in Flint. They came and set something up, and it's like, hey, this is going to be polluting the water, but y'all going to look the other way because we're going to give you this money. And this is what happens. People are dealing with this stuff. We can't do that. There's some things that we're not going to do. I don't care how much money you're throwing at me, right? Prefer not another over your own brother, over your own sister, over your own blood. So we have to have these bonds. We have to internalize this and conduct ourselves in this way for real. When you're in a position of leadership, you're in there knowing that you are actually a civil servant. You are a public servant. Your pride is in, right, the welfare of your people. And we know that most of our people, they're not all just us, but most people in these positions, they don't see it like that at all. And so this is about rearranging our whole thought process and making it where even in this world where it's corrupt and they want to pull you in and pull you down, we have to stand strong and be who we are. One thing that we know, even if we don't pay attention to it, is that everyone does follow us. Even in our lowered state, we have the whole world listening to rap. They don't even understand what we're saying. They don't all speak English, and they're looking at it and they're emulating it. They're getting braids. They're doing whatever we're doing. They're sagging their pants. Even if it's something that's just like ignorant and embarrassing, they're doing it because we're doing it. So we start being serious about taking care of ourselves and being successful and being upstanding, being noble. Other people will take notice, and they'll, do their best to pick themselves up too, because we're the leaders of civilization. The prophet meant this when he said that the keys are in our hand. And that's why even in our lower state, we still influence the world. It's crazy. All right. So this is how we change the world. It's never been about some foolishness. Let's go out and save the world. Let's go out and save the hood. I heard a brother. I'm not trying to just preach either, but I heard a brother saying this too. A local brother talking about the hood. We need to save the hood. We need to get out there and save it. And it's like, bro, you can't save the hood. Like, do you even have your household in order? Right? Are you good? You have to start with yourself and get your, little nation, your family in order, your children, your woman, right? You have to have that in order, and then get with like minds and spread it from there, and then others will start to copy us because that's what they always do. And they see that we're serious. We're not. It's not just a front. You're not just trying to be a Moor because you think that's going to get you out of some trouble that you started. Because you didn't want to drive with a license, or you want to sell dope or something. They know that this is not a scheme. You really are Moor. Right? Our ancestors used to slay people, take people's heads off for disrespect. We're Moors. We're serious about this. This is for real. So when they see that and they know they can't test us, you're not gonna be selling drugs on the side. You're not gonna be doing something underhanded. You're not gonna be using it as a front so you can have prostitutes or something. No, you're serious about this. Once they see that, then they'll be conducting themselves or doing their best to follow suit as well. And that is how we change the world. Right? By working on ourselves always. So the prophet always puts things back on us. We suffer because, not because of the European. We suffer because we went behind them, following behind them, not doing what we're supposed to do, abandoning our own ways. And you know what happened? Once we did that, we lost. Any ties that we did have with other nations, with the different Barbary powers who were actually enslaving Europeans at the same time that our people were suffering over here. Any ties that we had with them were severed. All the European had to do was say, oh, the Moors over here abandoned it. They abandoned everything. They're rogues. They're doing their own thing now. They're Negroes. So it's always on us. Islam. If anybody has anything they want to share, feel free to speak up. I yield the floor.
Islam, praise Allah. Yeah, that's beautiful. I agree 100% with you, brother. I just wanted with this chapter, just wanted to add, like, you know what I mean, like with learning how to rule. What speaks out most to me as far as like when I think about me, like if I was to get into a business, because that's how I feel like, the magistrate, it like goes perfectly with the master servant thing or whatever. Just understanding how to employ people, like six, key six, he looketh among his people with discernment, and he discovered the abilities of men and employed them according to their merits and stuff. it merits. So basically, like, you know what I mean, when I heard that and I meditate on that, it's like, man, like that's what a king's supposed to be doing. Like that's the reason why, like you say, the government is all messed up, is because like these people is taking money, trying to gratify their lower self, versus like, man, I should really put some top of the line engineers and give them some better water system, or how can I, you know what I mean? So like, how can I, the economy, and like throughout the whole chapter he's just talking about like economy, like as far as like, the spirit of the merchant, he expanded the commerce, the skill of the farmer, he enriches the lands. When you enrich the lands, you can sell more. That's export. Just thinking these are things we have to think about with ruling, because ruling ain't just like I'm big, you're small. It's like, all right, we got borders we got to protect, like where it says, um,
Hey, if I could get you to
nah,
just
go ahead.
pause right there. When you said that about 6, he looketh among his people with discernment. He discovereth the abilities of men and employ them according to their merits. That reminds me of like when Malcolm X, when he was a child and he's talking to the teacher, and he's like with the top child in the class, and he's like saying that he wants to be a lawyer, and he's all motivated and all hyped up, and he, just he's looking to the teacher who's a European, and the teacher's like just breaks him. He's like, well, Malcolm, you you can't be a lawyer. You can't be a Negro. There's no such thing as a Negro lawyer. And then he tells him he should be a carpenter because Jesus was a carpenter. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's not like he said, "Oh, I'm real good with my hands. I think I should be a carpenter." He was, he was naturally inclined towards something else, and they wanted to break it to keep their slavery caste system going. Right? They had, like you said, other means of, other non-noble um, means and things that they were doing instead of looking out for the betterment of the people and which would actually be for the betterment of society. Especially when you look at what Malcolm X wound up becoming. He's doing speeches at Harvard and all this stuff, after it was all said and done. But they obviously failing us, right? And so we can't turn around and do the same thing. Islam.
Islam, I totally agree with you. You know what that reminds me of when you brought the Malcolm story up, is when Jesus, before he became a carpenter, right? He was disputing with who the doctors of the law, people that got a doctorate in law. You know what I mean? So like it's just crazy because the people, it just caught me, like, that's just like, most of the people that's in law, you feel me, are corrupt, and they put in there like the magistrate, aka the judge. Like when you go, sometimes it'll say judge and sometimes it'll say magistrate, and we got people that in the magistrate, like the judge, that's a elected official, just like, what we reading about somebody that's exalted by the people, so like it's just but now that you brought that up, the lawyer, the carpenter, us ourselves, using the workshop, the tools of the workshops of the mind, you feel me, and applying it as measuring, right? Getting our rulers out and measuring people according to their character, especially in the positions that they hold, as far as like these positions like magistrate. Nah, it's time to take our rulers out, Oh, now we understand that there's 12 virtues and 5 principles, you know what I mean? So like, let's see how is he living. And then we also got guidelines. Like, what is this guy doing? Is he fair? Is he open to listening to people? You feel what I'm saying? So like, and then not only that, like exalted powers. You feel what I'm saying? So like, is this just like you was dwelling on, like when I what you was dwelling on, what you was building on, you was like we'll only be ready to rule when we every one of us understands this chapter, as far as, man, it takes a lot to build a nation and run a nation. You feel what I'm saying? So like you said, you're gonna like it supposedly he said he gonna keep the European long enough so we can learn government. But also, he did say that he left us everything to start a nation too, and it's right here in the palm of our hand. So, Islam, I just wanted to close with that. But like this whole chapter just speaks to me on how to rule, and just not even how to rule once you get a title, or just how to rule yourself, because you understand the magistrate of the life you live in is the human spirit within inside you, and the soul and the body is subject to you, you know, because we're the vice regent. So I don't know. I think we should look up the definition of vice regent and apply it to this one. You feel me? And understand that the human spirit within all of us, you know, is the vice regent to everything outside of that. So and apply these principles to that. Islam.
Islam, Islamism. Um, First I rise to give praise to Allah, honors to His Prophet Noble Drew Ali, last prophet in these times. I also want to rise and give honors to all you Moors in attendance. I wanted to add that this right here made me think about our divine and national movement of the Moorish Science Temple of America, because we have leadership. And you know, when I looked up magistrate, I saw like an officer of the law. So that's what our leaderships, this the people in our leadership in our organization are supposed to be the officers of the Prophet's law, Islam, adapts, sheiks, grand sheiks, and so on. So and the subject is like the person living under a sovereign, or the the basic matter of thought. So it's like, okay, the basic matter of thought is a subject. So, well, what we know about thought, you know that we're thoughts of Allah manifested in flesh, Islam. So, when we look at it and apply it to to the Prophets movement and the organization that we're all part of, we can definitely use these keys, you know, to form a better understanding to what the Prophet brought us. Islam.
Islam.
Islam. Islam. Too, in light of what was said, also want to read following our leaders in Moorish literature. Right, that's number 29 in Moorish literature. The thousands of Moorish Americans will follow their leaders, regardless of propaganda put forth by those who have designs to hinder them in their work for the advancement of their people. We will not stop to question the requisites, qualifications, nor anything else, so long as our leaders who have investigated and passed on the course of action, which we feel is enough to endorsement for us to act. We have long known the first attempt to crush the leaders of any movement or organization is to plant dissension among their followers. Such will never be the case with the Moorish Americans, for when we have chosen our leaders, that within itself tells the world that we are going to follow them. All of the knocks and slams that come from anyone against our leaders will be ignored by us. Where they lead us, we will follow. And this is pretty much just trying to get us on code as far as how we act. Like, you know, we're not going to be out in public bashing each other and showing the European that there's dissension, which is what they encountered here. They had tribes here that were at war with each other or didn't agree about stuff, and they were able to play them against each other while they were killing them and taking their land. Right. And so it's like we learned from that now. Okay, we're supposed to be on code. You know, we not doing that anymore. We're not out in public. As far as everyone knows, it's supposed to be one unified front. Those Moors, they're not like the Negroes. They don't, you know, they just they work together, and they follow their leadership. Basically, the people that we put in these positions, we trust them. But we have divine instructions showing us how we're supposed to conduct ourselves. So not even just with people in city council and different positions like that, also within our society, within our government, right? This is how we're supposed to conduct ourselves. And if we're doing this, obviously there should be trust there. Islam. So this is important, you know, for us to study and to carry this out, right? Because all the nations of the earth have written covenants in the holy doctrine, right? And that they use to conduct themselves. Whether they're living up to it or not, you know, that's on them. But they all have it. And so we have it as well now. And this was the thing, that was the component that the Asiatics in America was missing. They didn't have their own divine creed. They didn't have their own constitutions, their own laws, and their own covenant with their creator. Right? That was erased. That's what the whole enslavement thing was about. It was also about, mainly about mental slavery, breaking the ties that we have with our own ancestry and knowing who we are and how to conduct ourselves, and then giving us something, giving us names, giving us something that was watered down and used to enslave us. All right. So that's all that I had to say on chapter 29. If anyone else has any questions or anything they want to say, feel free to speak up.
Islam. If no one else has any questions or comments, we'll close out in a minute. But before we close out, we did want to say, you know, this was our first year actually attending Remembrance Day in Philly on Wednesday the 14th, and it was beautiful. It was a wonderful experience. Um, we we want to, you know, get everybody out there next year to, I mean, just experience and just to hear the Moorish history, you know, in right here in Philadelphia. And, you know, it used to be our capital, our state capital, you know, before it was moved to DC. So it was a lot of information, lots of jewels, and you know, just being there with the brothers and sisters from DC, Jersey. Um, you know, it was beautiful, you know, just to see the new temple that was just resurrected. You know, it really gave us some motivation and, you know, some more great ideas to add to all the great ideas that we had. And that's what it's all about. It's all about being inspired by each other. You know, you can't be inspired by, you know, people who's always in the fog and the cloud, you know, like who's always entertaining themselves, who's not serious about anything. So it's all about being inspired. So it we were definitely inspired in Philly this weekend. Well, I mean this Wednesday. Islam. So he's gonna play a short video of just a little bit what we experienced, and there's some pictures on the page. So if you haven't seen them, go ahead and see those pictures. And I yield the floor.
Islam, one thing, Philly wasn't just the first capital of the United States of America. It was also an important city and possibly even a capital for our ancient civilization. It was called Sheikh Mexim, which sounds a lot like sheiks of a Mexim, and you can make that connection because Sheikh Mexim was called the place where the eels met. All right. And it was known as the meeting place of the sheiks. They even had this area, which is now part of downtown Philadelphia, where it was like a sacred grove. And it's where the sheiks, the chiefs from different tribes, would come to meet as a council to make decisions for the people as a whole. So the big deal is a lot there. And I want to share this. It's just a 5-minute video.
By slaveholders in 1779 lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. So in 1774, marks were placed upon our people. By 1779, those marks were legally translated into slave names. How do you identify a slave? Negro, black, and colored. Many of us heard of the slave laws, but very few of us are aware of black codes. Black codes are actually slave laws. In most cases, the word slave was crossed out and black was inserted. If you can recall the century-free Moors, who stated that if they were ever accused of a crime, they did not want to be under the Negro Act. Because the Negro Act, these are a set of laws that govern slaves. So setting the stage for 1774, first of all, the enslavement of our people did not begin in 1619. We can go as far back or as far early as the 15th century, in particular, 1441. In 1441, it was Pope Eugene IV who was responsible for setting the stage for the international slave trade. But they saw it necessary to reclassify the Moors by not calling them Moors no more, but they began to identify our ancestors as Negroes. So you had the Portuguese, the Spanish, the Dutch, the English. So it was a process in regards to the enslavement of our ancestors. Islam Moors. So why 1774? If you look at 1774 and what was the issue surrounding around the time of 1774, you can look at 1772. 1772 was a landmark case between Somerset and Stuart. Somerset was one of our ancestors who were enslaved by the Europeans, taken to various areas, and lastly taken to Britain. And once he got to Britain, he escaped that condition, and then he was recaptured, and then he declared he would not go back into that condition. So his case went to trial. So by 1772, the landmark case, which is known as the Somerset case, declared him free and declared that any heir that was breathed in that area or that jurisdiction, you were automatically free. Islam? We got to remember, at that time, there was no United States of America. We're talking about 13 colonies, each separately chartered and governed under the jurisdiction of Britain. So you can imagine, if I am perpetuating an institution, an inhumane institution, where I am not only economically benefiting from, but benefiting from on all fronts. But now I'm underneath this jurisdiction, and now they are declaring that they are opposed to slavery. We got to put something in place. We got to put something in place so that if you were ever to be physically set free, if you would identify with these terms, you would subjugate yourself. So 1774, the lead up was 1772. 1774, the Holy Prophet lets us know. He talks about the marks that were placed upon our people by the European nations in 1774. How do we get European nations from colonies? The colonies were composed of European nations. Here in Pennsylvania, you had Germans, you had Dutch, you had the Swedes. So here, we're in front of this building right now, Comforters Hall, because this is the site of the First Continental Congress. This was the site of the meeting of those European nations in 1774. So the meeting was composed of 12 colonies. There were 13 colonies, but all the colonies attended except for Georgia. And not only, and European history books are going to tell you, well, they came together to form a united front against King George III of England and to protest the intolerable acts. However, in addition to that, something was put in place so that if we were to ever be physically set free, you identify with these terms, these are marks, these are slave names. And if you identify with these names.
All right, Islam, I just wanted to share that. It's good also to get out, meet with other Moors from around the country, to know that this is for real. This is serious. It's not just something that we do, that we just talk on Friday and Sunday. This is not just like, I guess, what our people used to church. This is real. This is a way of life. It's serious. There's other Moors that are prospering, that are getting things going with business, and that are serious about the Moorish Divine and National Movement. So just wanted to share that. And if any Moors have anything to say before we close, feel free to speak now. All right. Well, if anybody has anything they want to say, just hold on. Brother Thomas Bay, would you please read the divine warning?
Islam. First, I rise and give the highest praise to Allah, giving honors to his prophet, Drew Ali, all you boys in attendance. Islam. A divine warning by the prophet for the nations. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitutions, are all one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classified as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names, abuses, and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of the free national government and cling to names and principles that delude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to the state and mind of their forefathers, divine and national principles, that they will be law-abiders and receive their divine rights as citizens according to free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and the earth, and it comes only through the connection to the Moorish Divine National Movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under a free national constitution of their state's government and not under granted privilege, as has been the existing conditions for many generations. You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those who know law in City Hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply. For they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into the light. Money does not make the man. It is a free national standards and power that makes a man in a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver, and commerce belongs to the citizens alone. And without your national citizenship, by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And I am hereby calling all true citizens that stand for a free national government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all American citizens of the United States of America. Help me save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of their government. I am depending on your support to get them back into the constitutional fold again, and they will learn to love instead of hate and live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States of America. I love my people and I desire their unity and mind back to their own free national and divine standards, because day by day they have been violating the national constitutional laws of their government by clinging to names and principles that are unconstitutional. If the Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States of America, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all American citizens alike. In all governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, and if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. Any group of people that fail to answer up to the constitutional standards of law by name and principles, because to the citizens of any government, you must claim your national descent name. Because they place their trust upon issue and names formed by their forefathers. The word Negro alludes in the Latin language to the word nigger, the same as the word color alludes to anything that is painted, varnished, and dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers, because honoring thy fathers and thy mothers, your days will be lengthened upon this earth. These names have never been recognized by any American citizen of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and 15th Amendment brought the North and the South into unity, placing the Southerners, who were at that time without power, with the constitutional body of power. And at that time, 1865, the free national constitutional law was in force since 1774, declared all men equal and free. And if all men were declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never been changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendments for the salvation of our people and citizens. So there isn't but one supreme issue for my people to use to redeem that which was lost, and that is through the above statements. Then the lion and the lamb can lie down together in yonder hills, and neither will be harmed, because love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice will be reigning in this land. In those days, the United States will be one of the greatest civilized and prosperous governments of the world. But if the above principles are not carried out by the citizens and my people in this government, the worst is yet to come, because the great God of the universe is not pleased with the works that are being performed in North America by my people, and this great sin must be removed from the land to save it from enormous earthquakes, diseases, etc. And I, the prophet, do herein believe that this administration of the government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the prophet, truly believe my people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving cardinal customs and merely ideas of men that have never done them any good but have always harmed them. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true divine way, and without understanding, they have fallen from the light.
Islam, you went out. brother, but hang on. Okay, I think the brother was on the last chapter. I mean, the last verse, last paragraph. So I, the prophet, am hereby calling aloud with the divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and is being practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way, and without understanding they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. That's where we're at right now. Still, and there's not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their present condition of their endeavorment in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from the sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. Remember, once again, talking about our people. And they fought the Southerner for all these great misuses, but I have traveled in the South and have examined conditions there, and it is the works of my people continuously practicing the things which bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I am hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me in my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into marvelous light. Remember that, the light, okay, it's from the prophet. The prophet came to reveal. And remember, the Europeans had the discussion in the House of Representatives about removing the light from us, removing the capacity to even see the light. Islam. So what we talked about today with the principles for the foundations of our community, these are things that we must put into practice and understand. This is how the prophet returned the light to us. Now it's on us to make it work. Islam. Right. And in closing, one of the things too that stuck out to me when we were just in Philadelphia, just seeing the Chinatown, and we rode by Chinatown, and one of the things that was mentioned was that Chinatown was a completely self-sufficient community. They did literally, if they didn't want to, they don't have to leave Chinatown for anything. And we have to have that. And in order for us to have that, we can't build it off of the principles that we have as Black people, because they don't really have any principles. We're just doing the best we can with what we have, and the European system is unstable, and it's failing, and that's what everything is based off of. So we can't do that. We have to return that which is divine. That's why we hold these words that the prophet wrote as law. Islam.
Islam.
All right, Islam. So unless anyone else has anything to say, I want to announce without further ado, we're going into the closing of the meeting. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 in love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Please rise and face the east for the closing prayer. Allah, bind our hearts and minds back to our ancient forefathers, divine creed and principles. We ask this in thy holy name and the 7 Elohim. Amen. Islam, Islam, Islamism.
Islam. Happy holy day.
Happy holy day.
Happy
Peace and love.
Morris.
Islam, Muslims.
Peace. Happy holy day.
See you in Sunday school.
Islam.